Hi Bio4, welcome to part 9 of senses. So we're moving on to how the image is formed within the eye. And this is a good diagram because it's showing how you have an image that might be closer to the eye or an image that may be farther from the eye, and how they're entering in through the lens and they are forming an image here in the very back of the eye, which is the retina. Right? That carpeting that I had referred to before. So there's the carpeting, the retina in the back, and the image actually is inverted. So everything that you're looking at, you're forming an image of it inverted, but your brain descrambles that, so that's fine. They did an experiment where they gave two individuals glasses that inverted the image, and they walked around bumping into furniture all day, and it took them about 2 weeks, and then they completely adapted to that shift. So the brain's very adaptable in that sense. Okay, so it's coming in upside down. What happens then for you to be able to form an image? Look what's happening here in a distant source. You have light from a distant source. It's coming in, and it's coming in against, there's the cornea, there's fluid in here, then there's a lens, so it kind of bends over and over again. It's not showing it in this diagram, but it's going to be a lot of bending of light. But the ultimate bending of light by the actual lens is going to make it so that those rays converge onto certain points in the back in the retina, and that point that it converges on needs to be a specific point that allows you to see in very good focus. Okay? And if you were to see it from a near source, light comes in differently because it's from closer by. It's still, look what you do to the lens. You're going to scrunch up the lens and you're going to bend the light so it does exactly what it did up here. You're going to bend that light and it's going to form an image on that carpet in the back, which is the retina. Okay, so look at your lens up close. Look at your lens and you'll look far. So they tell you to rest your eyes by looking away, right, from the computer. And why is that? Because you're not forcing the scrunching up here of the lens for so many hours, which is exhausting. It's tiring to the eyes. Okay, so the eye really is set for distant vision, about 20 feet away. And 20 feet is the magic number when we measure our eyesight. Everything has to do with 20, and we'll see why in a little bit. Okay, let's look at when this doesn't work well, abnormal vision. So you have to think of myopia. So if you're myopic, it's because you're nearsighted. You see near, but you don't see far. Hyperopia is you're farsighted. You see distance, but reading a book is more complicated. Presbyopia is a name given to the aging of the eye, harder to see up close. Stigmatism is an irregularity of the cornea, so it's kind of wavy. I'm going to show you diagrams of all of this, so don't get frantic yet. And then cataracts, which is the lens getting slightly opaque. So let's take those one at a time. Let's start out with myopia here. First, actually, we're going to start out with the normal eyeball. So this is the normal eyeball that I showed you before, right? Rays are coming in, the light is going to be bent by the lens, and it's going to come to a focal point. And look at the focal plane where it's going to land. Okay, that's all good. What if this focal point here doesn't land exactly in the back of the eye? Look what happens. In nearsightedness, myopia, that focal plane is here. So it's ahead of where all these neurons are. And this is going to make for a fuzzy picture. So that doesn't work because those rays now are sort of not converging to one point, but they're overlapping. So the solution to that is to have a corrective lens. And that corrective lens in this case is concave, and you bend the light more open. Do you notice? So that when it comes into that lens, it'll come and it'll converge on the retina in the very back, and it'll come to a perfect focus. So brilliant, right? That you could bend the light at first and then that way allow it to arrive exactly where you wanted to. So that's myopia. So really what's going on here is that in myopia, this eyeball then is too long. So if the eyeball is too long, do you notice all this here is sort of excessive? So it's the shape of the eye that's a problem. In the case of the eyeball too long, then that focal point is going to be anterior to the back of the eye. What about hyperopia? Well, it's the other way around. That eyeball's too short. So if the eyeball's too short, then the focal point is going to be essentially beyond where the retina is, and it's not going to be in focus. So in that case, what you have to do is not open up those rays, but close them in more. So this convex lens is going to bring these rays in sooner, and it's going to converge more, sooner than it would have back here. So hyperopia, farsightedness is going to be corrected with a convex lens. Okay? Concave for nearsighted, convex for farsighted. Okay, now let's look at astigmatism. Astigmatism is a whole other problem. So astigmatism can be the wavy cornea here, or something wavy in the shape of the actual eye. Not just the cornea, not just the anterior part of the eye. But what happens here is that light is coming in and getting bent in different directions. Not only is it just too soon or too late, but too all over the place. And the test for this is usually they let you look at a dial like this. It sort of mimics a clock. And they tell you, well, how do you see this? Do you see the 11 just like you see the 12? Or is 12 more bold than the 11? Do you see the 9 better than the 8, or do you see them the same? And in that way, I'm assuming that this is an eye, you can tell what's happening in these different angles of the eye in an attempt to correct that. So the correction is going to have to be a type of lens that's concave in one part and convex in the other. So a little more complicated, making it more complicated for contact lenses too. So the way they have fixed that for contact lenses is contact lenses have little weight on them, so a little tiny weight, so they can't rotate in your eye. Because if they were to rotate completely in your eye, then what was 4 would become 7, what was 8 would become 11, and it wouldn't correct for the problem that you're having. So you'd have to have a lens that stays in one position, and that's astigmatism. Okay. This I wanted to show you. You all know what this is, but there's always such a lot of confusion of what it means to be 20/20 and what it means to be 20/15 and all that. So when you look at something like this, what it's telling you is, notice that the first number of all of them is 20, right? For all of them. So that means that you are standing at 20 feet from the chart. And why is it 20 feet that we want 20 feet and not 40 or not 30? Because at that point is when your lens is relaxed. Your eye muscle is relaxed to the point that you're just looking ahead without having to scrunch up that the lens up close. Okay, so you're going to do it at 20. Right now you don't do it at 20 because it's a system of mirrors in the doctor's office, but it's mimicking the distance of 20 feet. So you're at 20 feet. Now, they're going to compare you to someone who we consider has perfect eyesight. So we're going to compare you at 20 feet to someone else that is also at 20 feet and that sees just like you do. So you are 20 for you and compared to 20, the other person who's at 20. Now let's say you're not 20/20, you're 20/50. This is you standing at 20 feet, but you would have to put that comparison person, and this is who you're getting compared to. That person would have to be standing at 50 feet from the chart when you're at 20 for you to see the same. So that person that sees well is put it 50 feet from the chart, and then you're seeing like they do, but only you're standing at 20. I hope that's clear. If you are better than normal, then you're still standing at 20, and this other person would have to be standing at 15 because they actually don't see as well as you do. You're better than normal. That's how the numbers come from the chart. In this very top one, you're standing at 20, and that's all you can see. So the normal person, right, the one that we're going to compare you to, is going to be standing at 200 feet from that chart and would see just like you do at 20. And that's the last slide, you guys. So this finishes senses, and next one we'll move on to the heart. But thanks for listening. We've got 9 different videos on that. Take care. Bye.